Okay, today we're going to be talking about some of the interesting design choices they made in the robot for the Vanishing Shadows, and then I'll show you the CAD files that I'm working up and the scale I'm working in. First thing you can notice from this side shot from the movie robot, of course this is in black and white, that the head bucket isn't symmetrical. It's mounted towards the front, a lot of space in the back. And an interesting thing on the arms there. Let's look for some other images here. Okay, this is a back view. That isn't going to show what I want to talk about. It's dark also. Let's see if we can find... It shows a little bit of the shoulder. Basically this cardboard body is wrapping around the person that's in there right up to their side. Their armpit is right in there, so they couldn't bring the shoulder out to the middle of these large drums. They had to offset it, and it makes for a strange connection point there. You see more of it here because their arms got to come in straight. And this is a good one for showing the fins and everything. Interesting to tell about the colors, even though it's in black and white. Let's assume the body was silver, and this being darker with some color. Now if it was black, the resolution would look completely different. It would look very dark, very black. I'm assuming it was probably red or something like that, which appears dark in the black and white pictures. Here you can see more of that shoulder profile I was talking about. It comes out and there's a cut right there in the round, and then straight into the side of the can. The first elbow joint, if you would. Let's see if any of these show anything different. Not a lot. Straight on one kind of shows it. All right, well let's jump into the world of CAD. I've got I didn't actually start here. Where I actually started was the frame that holds the motor. I wanted to see how small I could make that. But we're going to start here at the bottom. These are the legs and feet upside down so that you can see what's going on in here. Basically, there's this leg section, and this part is going to fit up in there. On the insides of these feet, they're reversed so I can easily show this. I'm going to have the pinholes for running a 3mm pin through, which would go through that. If this was up in place, the pin would go through to hold in there. This little hole is going to hold a paper clip as a shaft for the wheels, and there's a hole there for holding the ratchet arm, and the hole there for holding the front wheel. And of course on these wheels you would have the rubber grommets. So on this one over here, which is assembled, it's easier to see when the ratchet's in place. Pin would go through, the large pin is holding a front linkage piece, which isn't visible in either of these pictures. And then this is the leg, and it's pinned here. And the rear one, there's no ratchet. Any wheel could use there, and it's held in like so. Let's I'm using 3D Builder, the program that comes on the computers, just to display these files. Let's go to a new scene. Let's open another file. Let's see, 3D images. So we kind of looked at that, the foot, leg, and motor frame. Let's take a look at that in CAM. And here we go. So this is actually where I started, is with this motor frame. Needed a frame that could hold the motor and could hold the cams that are going to fit onto the motor. The motor will nest down in there, and these screw holes will screw into the TT motor. In this case I'm going to use the a 1:220, or as we'd say in America, 220:1 gear ratio. And you can see the cams are offset, and it's going to fit in here. And there's holes in the side of this where a 3mm shaft will go all the way from side to side to pin the rear, would pin these rear leg ones in place. Then in the front, down in here, we've got front linkages, and they're pinned in the same way. They weren't shown in the earlier video I showed you, but they come down and they pin in there. So this is the basic thing. I had to get this part all working, and once I knew I could make that all fit and work, then I knew the scale that I was going to be using for the body. So let's move on from here. Let's go to open. And if we just looked at that, let's look at the one with the body attached. 3D Builder. Thank you. So now we have the basic body set on here. Where I'm going to put that. These rivets were visible in those movie stills that we looked at earlier. And the battery pack is going to mount all the way back inside the body, and the switch that I like to use is going to mount up top there. And down inside, this is where the TT motor would slide in, would be in place. And this way I have the battery connections poked through that hole, so I have all my wiring. The motor from the TT's right on top, the switch is right here, so I can do all the wiring on top real easily, and it won't be a problem. Alright, so let's take a look at the next progression. Let's go to new scene and open. Load file. We just looked at with body. Here we go, body with arms. The arms are in two pieces so that I wouldn't have to do supports and get a cleaner print. The one on this side is purposely detached so that you can see that. I'll rotate it. So these two halves would glue together. They both have half the pin, which then goes into that slot, and I would glue them in the proper position. And then this side over here, you can see it in place. I've got the 3 claw design as we see in the movie. All right, let's move on. New scene. Do that. This, open, and body with arm. What's different about this one? I believe this one will have the head included. Okay, so now we've got the start of the head. We got the cow catcher nose. I designed the eye holes big enough to take a standard 5mm LED pushed in from the inside. And these holes are where the ear conicals and the top of the head conicals are going to go. So nothing really else has changed other addition to the head. The head is just going to glue onto the body. And let's maybe I can leave that image there and open another one. Arm, head, let's try this one. Okay, so here you can see the earpieces, again, to get clean prints and not have to do any supports or anything. They're actually made up of individual little parts. These all have a 4mm hole down through the center of all of them, and they're going to slide onto this peg. Basically the end of that peg would be the end of this piece here, and you see they all have a little lip, so they'll stack themselves, and then just gets glued right into the side of the head in the case of the ear one, and in the case of the top of the head it's the same one. It's just stacked in. So now all I have to do is start printing these parts and testing them. So in the next video, hopefully we'll have either part of a working robot or a complete working Vanishing Shadows robot.